A Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist at the New York Times has written 2 articles on the Independent Analyst story. Gretchen Morgenson's articles have documented how Wall Street analysts sometimes recommend the stock of investment banking clients to investors, even as they are selling the very same securities from their personal portfolios. While Gretchen Morgenson was receiving her Pulitzer Prize in 2002, then New York Attorney General Eliot Spitzer was pressuring 10 leading investment banks to sign the Wall Street Global Settlement. This agreement included over $400 million for independent research and was designed to stop investment banks from pressuring analysts to recommend investment banking clients. The Securities and Exchange Commission tried to prevent analysts from fraudulently recommending investment banking clients by passing Regulation AC. This regulation required analysts to sign attestation statements, which held them legally responsible for their recommendations. In the case of the independent analyst, he was trying to stop recommending an investment banking client because that company's stock price had just exceeded the analyst's target price. When the investment bank refused to let him lower his research rating, he asked to have his name removed from coverage of the company because he had signed a legally binding attestation statement which said, "I hereby certify that the views expressed in this research report accurately reflect my personal views about the subject company and its securities." The analyst sent 2 emails to the head of compliance at the investment bank asking to have his name removed from coverage. Instead, the investment bank fired the analyst 2 days after they learned that he had turned the emails over to Congress. The investment bank continued to use the analyst's name to recommend the investment banking client to investors for 2 weeks after they had fired the analyst. One of Gretchen Morgenson's articles quoted the investment bank's chairman as saying that the analyst had, quote, "gone too far this time," unquote, when he reported the emails to Congress. Gretchen Morgenson thought the investment bank had gone too far this time and titled one of her articles, "Did Wall Street Really Learn Its Lesson?" A recent Time magazine cover story asked Americans what they thought about Wall Street. 75% of Americans agreed with Gretchen Morgenson that Wall Street has not learned its lesson and that it remains business as usual. So what should be done? An obvious place for regulators to start dealing with current market problems is by enforcing the regulations passed after the last stock market crash in 2000. Since the SEC passed Regulation AC in 2003, there have been no enforcement actions taken on this regulation. In the case of the independent analyst, the SEC investigated but decided not to prosecute the investment bank, even though they had refused to let the analyst lower his research rating or have his name removed from coverage, had fired him 2 days after being notified that the analyst had reported the emails to Congress, and had continued to use the analyst's name to recommend the stock for 2 weeks after they had fired him. In the end, the investment bank successfully sued the independent analyst for defamation in a Wall Street arbitration proceeding for talking about these issues with Gretchen Morgenson at the New York Times.